Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to our National Grand Chief and to his assistant. I give honor to all national, state, and local officials. I give honor to my sisters here on the panel, and I give honor to all of you who have joined us this evening for another episode of Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. I am Sister N. Greer Ill from Washington, D.C., Temple 71.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Well, first I rise and give praises to Allah. I give honors to the illustrious Prophet Noble Ali. I give honors to each and every one of you. I give honors to my sisters here on the panel. I give a special honors to Sister Montgomery Bay and Montgomery Bay for her diligence and always being on time and working with us. I give honors to all the viewers. My name is Sister Elberry Bay, coming out of Brooklyn, New York. Peace.
Islam. Well, I'm Sister A. Ravenel Bay. First, I rise and give praise to Allah. I give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Ali. I give honor to everything that Sister Griel and Sister Berry Bay had shared with us, and I give special honors to everyone that makes this show come alive, including all the viewers that are here with us this evening, and I pray that we have a wonderful topic. I'm Sister A. Ravenel Bay from Temple number 21 in Brooklyn, New York. We got Sister T. Hopkins Bay.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Islam. This is Sister T. Hopkins Bay coming out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Temple number 11. Islam, Lord.
Islam, sister.
So we're going to get right into these questions. Sister Berry Bay, you look like you're eager and ready to go. So let's get it.
Yes. Okay, let me bring up my question here. So this is the topic is Life and Works of Parenting Part 2. Mm-hmm. So my question will be, what are some of your parenting styles? Can you share with us?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and jump in. Parenting styles. So, I think we learn a little bit from the way we were parented before, and then we figure out what's our version of it. And so I definitely, similarly to my parents, there's just certain things that it is what it is. That's how it's going to be. But I think what I want to do is also help my children understand the why. So I'm really big on this is what it is, but let me tell you why I'm asking you to do this. Like this morning, my son was running late. He's like, I can get ready. I said, wait a minute. You don't understand. I know you can get ready, but can you get ready on time? There's somebody that's meeting us at a certain time. So it's not that you can't do it. It's the fact that you're holding up the whole train and the flow. So I tried to, my parents did not do that. They would be like, it's it, get it done, and other means of communication. But for me, I believe that it's important to help them understand the why. And I really base that on the Prophet's teachings of, if I can get you to think, you can save yourselves. Mm-hmm. So I want my children to think about what and why they're doing things, and understand that some things that there isn't. It's just, it is. It's the right and the wrong. It's the truth and the falsehood. But you got to understand the why. So that's how I try to parent.
Islam, sister. When you said you tell them the why, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The adults in my life when I was a youngin' used to say, don't do this and don't do that, but they never said why. And had they said why, it could have saved me from a whole lot of turmoil and unnecessariness. I remember when I was about 7 years old, my daddy was putting some insulation in the walls. And he said, knick-knack, don't touch that, all right? And I said, okay, Daddy, but he didn't say why not to touch it. So when he wasn't paying attention, I took a nice big piece of Pink Panther insulation and wrapped it around me like a stall. And then within 7 seconds, I was screaming and hollering because for those who don't know, insulation has small fiberglass inside.
Yeah, it hurts.
So that was my experience of not behaving myself and doing the opposite of don't mess with that. So why is very, very important. And the other thing you said was we pick up, on how to raise our children. Sometimes we decide that we're not going to raise our children in a certain way as well, then we have been brought up. Like, what goes on in this house stays in this house has never been something uttered from my mouth. I think that having an open relationship with my child, allow her to feel safe, to be able to come to me and tell me anything, and it feel like that. But I do notice that with my grandbaby, it's a bit different. Like, it's a bit different from my daughter than with my grandbaby. I'm a little bit more on the sweet side. I think it's just the grandmother in me, So yeah, it's levels to it. But I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you so much.
Islam. So I believe the question was, what is your parenting style? And praise Allah for what the other two sisters demonstrated. First, I'd like to rise and give our praises to Allah, honor to our Prophet Noble Drali, and honors to all of the co-hosts as well as the viewers. Islam. So my parenting style, I think my parenting style kind of reflects a little bit of my mother, my grandmother, because to me, they instilled a lot of things within me. I might not parent just like they did, because, as time goes on, you evolve and things change. Yes. And so, these new generations are way different from ours. So it's kind of like you have to adjust the way you deal with them and the way you parent them to the current time that you're living in, because I look at my children and the stuff that they watch and they're into. And I remember when I was their age, we didn't have that. We did not have all the things that they have. So it's different. The language is different. Their friends are different. Back in the day, we used to go and play outside. Nowadays, you can barely get a child to go outside. And then what's outside, you really don't want them doing anyway because it's too much going on. So my parenting style for me would be, just to do the best that I can with the lessons from the Holy and Divine Prophet. And what I grew up with, you take from what you had and you add on to it, if you will. So that's my parenting style.
Wow. Thank you, sisters, for sharing your parenting styles. Just to add, because you all touched on some of the things, they say, you think something, eat the jack and start happening, right? So I just felt that we all, in accord here. And so Sister T. Hopkins, they mentioned how basically as man unfolds, God unfold. You pick up habits from your parents and your grandparents. And then growing up in church, that saying that Sister Ingrid said, that was prominent in our household. What happens in this house stays in this house. And so, you learn how to keep secrets that maybe doesn't need to be kept. You're not learning how to really communicate things that are bothering you. But I've learned that through the Prophet's lesson that change, we say all the time that thought is the cause of it all. And that change happened instantly. We didn't believe that or know that before. Not in a good way. We understand if we do something that's not right, what the outcome would be. But did we ever understand that thought was the cause of everything, that we are the creators? Every single situation that we go through. So I constantly speak to my children about being responsible for your thoughts. We have a language now. I enforce it because, we understood what our parents was enforcing. They gave us what they had and what they knew. And so I try to enforce what I know along with those, teachings and properly giving them a rule for their lives. But belief, I talk about believing in yourself, believing that you can accomplish things. I don't think that's talked about enough. We don't have enough programs that show them. When we were coming up, we had television shows with doctors, Well, and you see the different positions that they had in their household and responsibility. But I don't think we see that much of that now. It's a lot of playing, a lot of, you know, it's not really encouraging TV programs, if you will. Everything is online. It's real quick, like the microwave. You put it in and it happens overnight. They think they can become stars on social media. That's not how it works. You have to really polish up your act and amend your ways and behave in a certain manner, you know, become, you know, as your moral compass has to be sharpened up in order for people to see you as, you know, a pattern for your life. So I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to pass that on. But my parenting skills is to, you know, I had to learn to let them learn on their own, and they come to me whether what they don't like, and if I can help them, I help you. If you think you got it, trust your own thought as an adult. So I hear them out often.
That's right, sister. That's right. If I may, real quick, our chairman of Temple 71, he would always say to me, or frequently say to me, we have to allow our children to get their own experiences. And as a mother, and I'm assuming as a father too, it's hard to just allow your child just to go off and be. But sometimes they have to get their own experience, you know, so they can have their experience.
Yes.
We want to do as much as we can to protect them, but I know for a fact that experience is the best teacher. But my hope is that some things she doesn't have to, or my grandbaby or my son don't have to experience to understand that it shouldn't be done.
You know, Sister Great Ill, you know, one I want to share also with my husband. I learned from him some of the parenting skills. So see, we learn from each other. And I used to, you know, be judgmental and not really realize I'm being judgmental. You understand? He would remind me, think about your own imperfections. Think about the things that you went to. You learn because you don't know that's what you're giving off. You think there's a thin line, you know, between judgmental and giving instructions. You know, so you need to know when you're giving instruction and when you're being judgmental to your children, because that can hurt them. It really can. So praise Allah.
So praise Allah for you saying that, because I've had many people say that to me too. But I wanted so my question to you is, what is an example of being judgmental? Because when people said it to me, I'm like, I'm not being judgmental. I just don't want you to go through the same things that I have. I'm trying to like help you so that you won't go down that path. But praise Allah for what Sister Greer Ill said. Experience is the best teacher. And sometimes people do not want to listen to you. They want to experience it for themselves, even though you will try to save them or try to help them or try to say, listen, don't do that because I've been there, I've done that.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, people look at that as being judgmental on my part. Now,
Islam,
I'm confused because I feel like there is like you said, there is that thin line from I don't want you to go through that to being judgmental. And I definitely don't want to be judgmental toward my children, because then they won't come to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm trying to kind of gauge what's that.
So I want to share, when you're speaking about adult children, you know, I believe it was Brother A. Hopkins Bey had did this demonstration. He spoke about the generation today is more sensitive. Right? He spoke about that. And I can totally agree, because I have adult children. And so if one of my adult children happened to fall in love, I'm like already seeing what this person is about. You know, I'm seeing the trouble and or challenges they are having. You know, and sometimes as a mother, you're like, no, that is not for you. You know, we think we know what's for our children. And that can become judgmental as an adult, you know, when you give off information to an adult or helping assist them in their growth in adulthood. For children, I have a 10-year-old. I may tell him to do something and he may give me an answer of something I might not agree with. But instead of hearing what he's trying to say, I'm just automatically telling him to follow this thought. And he's trying to tell me, well, Ma, if I do it this way, it's going to be more, whatever the challenges he may have. But I'm automatically judging him like he's not listening instead of hearing him out and saying, okay, he has a right to tell me what works for him.
Okay.
See, this is when you raise children with courage to make great decisions in life, when they know how to speak up for themselves. It's a thin line when we think, hey, I'm the parent, the last word I have, not you. We have to be careful with that. We want them to express themselves in a respectful manner. And I have very boisterous children. They will speak their mind. I'm like, oh, excuse me. So I had my daughters, you know, one was really sensitive and one was really strong. He told me not to chastise them the same. To Ray, I can hit with a, you know, I will hit her or spank her on her hand when she's a baby. She look at me and she become worse. Like, I'm gonna tear this whole dress up. I'm like, what? I just spanked you. But my oldest daughter was different. I yell at her. She like, okay, she ain't playing with me. So he taught me how to parent a child who has that rebellious spirit. You have to talk to them as in respect, because you want them to keep that in them in a positive way.
Right.
I don't want to put fear in her where she starts to fear the world when she grows up. You understand? You don't want her to be overbearing to the world. So that's what I mean. It's a thin line in parenting and telling your children what to do or judging who they are. This is a part of your character. It's a part of who they are. So we have to accept them for who they are. Some of them talk up and have a sassy mouth. Show them how to curve it in a respectful manner, because that can become an Angela Davis. It can become, you know, a world speaker and make changes for our nation. And they need to be that way. You know, that's what I mean by
sister. When you said that, it really had me thinking about, someone told me before, you have to really know your child, right? And when you know your child, then you have to realize you have to treat them differently, like humans, like us. We are all different. So our children are different, and that's hard though, because you know, when I have a very strong-willed individual, two of them, very different. But when you have someone that is strong-willed, you don't want to, like, you need that, because I can see how that strong will is important for you when you're an adult, but I got to still raise you. It's totally different. And so that, knowing that is really important. But when the sister, I think someone said experience, and it made me think about the prophet says, you know, man knows not by being told, you know. And so I think about that stuff. Like, I can speak all I want to speak. That may not necessarily be the only way to influence my child, but experience, I think, is the hardest as a parent, because you see them doing something. It's like when the baby's little, you know, it's like, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. They touch the stove and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, don't touch the stove. You know, that little thing. But when they're a little baby, it's different. This is a stove. When they get to be older, they're bigger stoves and they're going to get scorched. And it's so hard as a parent to say, you want to save them from everything and you can't. And I think that to me was very humbling when I realized, oh, I'm actually not supposed to save them from everything. I'm supposed to teach them how to be an adult in this world so they can navigate this world and the things that come to them. And that was like so difficult for me to accept. But I get it. I understand why that is not my job, because that's not what you think of as a mother. I think I'm supposed to put them in a shell in a bubble.
Honey, trust me. I called you about that before, Sister Ravenel Bay. I put them in a bubble, but I didn't realize I was enabling them. And we don't want to enable our children.
I'm sorry. Sister Berry Bay, with my ears, I didn't hear judgmental, right? I heard more of, I'm the parent. I know what it is you're trying to do. You should do it this way. I didn't hear judgmental. In my mind, I think between judgmental and actually it's in the intent of it. Like, are you coming from a place of love? Or are you coming from a place of judgment? That would define, are you being judgmental or not? To answer in my opinion, to Sister Hopkins Bay question, that would
Mhm.
how I would gauge that. You know, are you coming from a place of love? Or are you coming from a place of judgment? And not are you coming from a place of I'm the parent, you do what I say I'm gonna do. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
You know.
And I want to also share, like, you know, my daughter likes makeup, and sometimes she might beat her face, overbeat it, and I'm like, don't do that. It doesn't look good. She feels like I'm judging her. I'm just being a parent because I'm gonna tell you what someone else won't tell you. All right, that skirt is a little too short, sister. You're revealing too much. They feel judged because they're very sensitive.
They are very
my mother
sensitive.
told us, it was like, girl, you ain't going outside with that. I'm like, you right, Mom. It's
Right.
I wish people were bold enough to say, hey, and sometimes it's not even all the time what you say. I guess it's sometimes how you deliver it too. Like, please pull me up if you see I'm you know, I'm a little out of pocket or whatever. Pull me up. It's okay. I'm approachable, you know, but when you said these millennials are very sensitive, they are very sensitive. They are sensitive.
Sister Great,
how are you so bold and boisterous,
right?
And so sensitive at the same, like, who, what sensitive at the same time? I said it seems like the most sensitive people are the most insensitive people.
Wow. Let me tell you something. With this new generation, and no judgment, you know. However, on social media, they use songs, certain sayings. You might go, don't take that down. I used to do that because social media was scary for me. You're telling too much. People seeing your business, and they'll say, "Ma, it's a song." I'm like, but people will judge you on that. You know, they like, "Ma, it's not that serious." I'm like, when I came up, it was that serious. So my husband used to say, "Listen, we didn't have social media like that. We had." When we did get contact with computers and stuff, it was beepers. You still couldn't see a person's life. You understand? You had to go to the phone to make a phone call. Now your life is all over the screen of computers in people's household just like that.
That's true.
So parenting becomes a little bit harder and judgmental. They say you judging me.
Sister Mary Bay, you were speaking about your daughters with makeup. Now, your daughters are grown.
Yes.
I have a 10-year-old who's she's very mature.
Yes.
But will beat her eyeshadow real seriously. And and then she says, well, can I do your makeup? And I'd be like, no, I'm gonna let you do yours. But there was this one time Sister Grail also was talking about that sensitiveness, and there was one day where she did her makeup, and I know she's probably watching me. I love you, baby. But
that's right.
She did her makeup, and her older brother, looked at her and was like, he gave her this look like, and we knew just to let her go ahead. It was we're gonna let her do what she want to do because she wasn't hurting nobody, and I didn't want to work hard. I didn't want to, tear her down or nothing like that. Even though I wouldn't wear it like that.
Right.
Like if she likes it, then I'ma love it. It's gonna be all right.
There you
go.
Because
we getting ready for Sunday school because she wears it when we go to Sunday school, when we go to Holy Day. I allow her to. And I don't want her going out the house with a whole attitude and a whole disposition because we told her makeup didn't look okay. Now, if we going somewhere for real, where people don't know she's a child, I'm like, no. Because at the temple, everybody knows that you're 10. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that this is what you like to do, experiment. And this is something that she wants to do later on in her life. So I want her practice. There's an artistry in that. So I don't want to tear it down from her.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So it might not be something I would wear.
Right.
But I looked at my son and I was like, all is well. All is well. And he knew to leave her alone.
Let her have her experience. So
let her live. Yeah.
But it's funny you say that artistry because my daughter loves art, and I never forget. Love you, baby. But she had one earring and it was a feather, and it was like her thing everywhere. She used to wear that. And I remember my girlfriend was like, "Didn't Janet Jackson do that with a key?" And I was like, "She did." She was like, "I remember. I found that. You don't know." Like, and it reminded me that I wouldn't do that. You know, she did it. You know, when she's doing it, and I always have to say when she goes out the box for me, I'm like, who's it hurting? Okay, I might not want it. But who is it hurting? If it ain't hurting nobody, it's a moment.
And that's that boldness and that fearlessness that they have when they're young. You know what I mean? Like, it's like them, you know, walking out into the world just like carefree without those worries of somebody's not going to like it or somebody's not going to understand it. You know, you want them to be able to be themselves. So, you know, the one feather earring, the blue and purple eyeshadow, praise Allah, all is well. You know, if they feel good doing that, then praise Allah.
To add to the feather in the ear with Janet Jackson, that was one of my favorite artists. I actually performed that song with the key in my ear.
Wow. Did you?
And the song was called Control.
That's right.
And my mother, after performing that song, my mom and dad met me on the stage, and they said, "What you trying to say?" I was like, "What?" They was paying attention to the words, and you know, and we just have to allow them to grow and unfold as the bud unfolds through the flower. You know, we go on the teachings that we knew before. The prophet said, you know, we uplift by teaching them to be themselves.
That's right.
We show them how to do that in moderation.
That's right.
And there are a lot of tutorials on makeup, right? You can find children doing it, so it won't be so dramatic looking like it would be on an adult. Because we still want them to be sweet and innocent and children, you know. And by all means, I can't wait till she get a little older. I'm gonna have her to come.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So much blessings to her in that.
Yes. I think we have another question because I think we stayed on that one pretty long.
Yeah. My question is kind of similar to this, which is around, we are in a world of social media, but how has it changed the way we have parented? You know, how does social media change the way you parent and think about raising your child?
Well, for me, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I know some of y'all got some rules. I'm listening.
Yeah. It's so funny because my daughter asked me for Snapchat, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, I have to talk to your dad. That's my thing to kind of deter the conversation.
Right.
I have to talk to your dad, you know. And it was so funny because she was with one of her little friends, one of her real close friends, and she was like, "Well, she has it," and I was like, "Okay, so what does that mean?" And I'm like, in my mind, I have to investigate this and find out what it is that they do on this and why she wants it so bad. But it changes. It doesn't change the way I parent. I'm just more cautious. And it's because I don't want them to see too much. However, they watch YouTube.
Yes.
But the deep part about it is they watch other children doing YouTube videos and all types of stuff, but they do watch those little videos too that's like tells them what to do in certain situations. I forget what they're called, but like real dramatic situations. They will sit there and watch those and, you know, discuss the things that are going on in the video. Like, you know, that was so mean or that was so horrible. Why would someone do that? So social media, although it has its downfalls, it has good things as well. And so I'm just careful with what I see them watch, because there has been times where my younger ones will watch videos that have a bunch of foul language. No, we're going to turn that off. We don't talk like that. And you're not going to sit there and listen to someone talk like that. Like, we're not going to do that. And they know, like, as soon as they hear it, like, let me hurry up and turn this off. So I think that as parents, you have to encourage the positive, because you cannot just completely stop them from having it. Having it, watching it, being on it. It's a social media day and age right now. Like social media is everywhere. We're on social media. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So it's like you have to kind of control what it is that they're into. I know for me personally, because my oldest is 13, my youngest is 5. So I have to just pay attention to what it is that they see and monitor them as they're engaging in it.
Right.
Praise a lot.
Well, let me add that when social media first showed its face, it was MySpace.
Yes.
And my cousin called me and said, Teraya took pictures and she's on MySpace. I'm like, what? And that just drove me bananas. I'm like, are you, because we think that people are watching children. They might get your pictures, follow you to your school, or it may be a dress behind you. You have to be mindful of all these things. So MySpace, I wasn't pleased for that to come into the fold of our life. But as time unfolded, I'm like, wow, you can see the good in it. My youngest, he loves YouTube videos. He likes to watch pranks. And so I tell him, well, don't you try none of those pranks, because if I go flying down these stairs, it's going to be a problem. Okay. So I just communicate with them. I don't stop him, because his interest in it is going to try to do it behind my back. So you have to show them how to do it.
Right.
And that's what I do. I just show them how.
Well, I have a grandbaby. She's 5. My children are 30 and 26, right? Almost 31 and 27. And their time with social media is as an adult, pretty much, right? But with my grandbaby, I just make my home a safe haven for her, whatever it is. Sometimes she'll have her tablet, and when she had her tablet a lot, she just likes to watch this Ladybug cartoon and Hotel Transylvania and Coco Melon. Like, she's not even really into knowing what's on social media. I did realize I think it was yesterday, where she said, Mima, I saw you on TikTok. And I was doing a little dance on there, and I think that's all that my daughter allows her to watch. She's pretty much still wanting to do or see children type of thing. So I feel good about that. And then plus, like I said, when she's here, I make this a safe haven, a safe space. And then I'm not saying that she's not safe with her mother, but I want her to know when she at Mima's house, this is just the way it is. It's probably feel a little different at Mima's house. You know what I'm saying? And I want her to experience that same warm feeling that I would get when I would go up to Big Mama's house.
That's right.
So that's what I do to her here, give her here. And we'll watch movies. Like I said, we'll just watch regular cartoon movies or whatever she want to watch. When I get tired of watching that, I'll send her to the room, or I'll go to the room. I'd rather send her to the room, because she be all at the door talking about who is it. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like when social media, my children, my daughter was older, when she was hitting like her 5th grade, I remember everybody wanting a cell phone, and she wanting one and wanted to be on. And I was like, I'm not sure about this. And, but another parent actually gave me an idea. They said, here's the deal. If you do decide to do it, we're going to communicate, because we were all real close in her grade. And so let's all kind of have a secret pact, which we kind of did, which was like to kind of check the phones at night, see what's going on, what's happening, to help teach them before middle school, when they're going to change. If they don't, it's all secret. And I'll say, I'm glad I did say yes, because they didn't do anything except a bunch of emojis and social media. They weren't even trying to do all the Snapchat that much. They were just trying to figure themselves out. But when we did go to middle school, I was like, okay, you only get an hour of this, hour of that. I started, I didn't want them on it all day, because, my background, I worked in tech. The job of the company is to make sure you are on it all the time, to know what you're watching, to put the stuff out in front of you. So I was very concerned about them, being sucked in. Like the slot machines, how people, people get sucked in. It's the same concept. So I was very worried about that. Mm-hmm. And what I decided was, I got to let them be a part of this world. So I can't block it 100%, but we got to have those conversations because I don't want the sneaking as well. Mm-hmm. So, kind of let them have conversations. And I think happens where you said there's situations like my youngest, he watches some show and like they'll play out a situation of someone, being mean to somebody, and there's a narrator that speaks about it, and he'll come back and talk about it, and I realize like, okay, I want to just make sure what are you doing? What are you on there for? What are you saying? What's the conversation like? And my daughter is on Instagram and she posts her artwork, and so I follow and we talk about it. So I try to accept it as a part of it's not separate. It's not this thing over there. It's not social media. It's something that you're doing, expressing yourself or watching. We should all be able to talk about it and just talk about it.
I want to add something for my 10-year-old. When he was about 1 year old, he had a portable CD player, and it had a TV screen, and he would always watch his Mickey Mouse Playhouse. And he would mimic, put the hat on, and he would go get this straw hat every time. And we didn't even understand, why is he getting a straw hat? And then one day my husband was looking and watching like, wow, what is he doing? He was actually mimicking what Mickey Mouse and the crew was doing. He set up the whole, and he still plays that way to this day. So he was kind of advanced when the social media thing, because he knew exactly, I taught him how to respect people's space. Don't go to people's house, get on social media, and you have people background and people talking, and they don't know they being recorded. And I used to always tell, my niece used to come over and my sister would get her. She would call everybody FaceTime. And they say, well, Ned, but see you in the kitchen making macaroni and cheese. I'm like, how you know that? You're like, your niece got you on FaceTime, So teaching them to be, like we said, moderate, be mindful of the surroundings too when you're on social media. Everybody don't want to be live. So I'm mindful with that with my youngest son.
I was just going to say really quickly, so I don't allow them to be on like Facebook. I know my oldest son has an Instagram, but he's very rarely on there. But I don't want them to get to the point where they're doing everything for a like. I think it's important because we have adults that put certain things up all the time for a like, or people get so upset like, well, they liked it, but they didn't love it. And then this person laughed at it. And this person, like, who cares? It's not that deep. I don't want them to get consumed with that. Like, listen, this is social media. People gonna like some things, gonna not like some things, gonna feel sorry for some. They got the little sad emojis, and like, seriously, we can't be consumed with that. Like, a lot of times on social media, you have a lot of friends and stuff on there that you don't even talk to outside of Facebook or outside of Instagram. Like, you literally don't talk to them that often. So I don't want them to be like overwhelmed with who liked their picture or who didn't like their picture. Like, it's okay. It's gonna be all right. And as adults, we have to make sure we're setting an example, and we're not doing that as well, because they're gonna learn from us.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we contribute to. Social media contribute to depression in those sensitive generation. If they don't get the likes, it can really have you insecure. So that's why it's important for parents to stay on top. My baby has not asked for a Facebook or Instagram. He had a YouTube channel for a long time. He liked to record things, his little toys, but he's never asked for a social media. I'm praying he don't. I don't want him to go through that, which you just demonstrated. That is a very powerful demonstration you just gave off. Children, if you're listening, parents, be mindful of that. Let them know, as Sister T. Hopkins Bay expressed, all the likes and loves it doesn't justify who you are. It doesn't say that you're not a good person and what you're doing is not good, or You don't need anyone to justify who you are. You
or
do
validate
validate who you are.
Right.
So please be mindful of what your parents are sharing, your sisters, your brothers, what we are trying to share here. You are loved no matter what faults you make. You know,
right.
if people don't like it, whether it's one like, that's enough. Or none at all. You know, mama like it. Mom, look at this. And mommy will go like it. Or dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes me really
And
think
not
about.
just children. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sis.
And not just children or the new age are
Adults.
in a depressive state. Adults are in a depressive state,
Yes.
especially during this time. And I find myself a lot posting funny, and no one has to like it, love it, or laugh. But if it made you feel a little better than you were feeling before you saw it,
That's right.
that's the job right there.
That's
That's
right.
it. You know
Well
what I'm
done.
saying? So I had that experience where somebody was saying, "You ain't see my post," and I was like, "Yeah." And when you ain't say nothing, I didn't have nothing to say. What? I didn't have nothing to say. I mean, they real life sensitive, not just the young folks, some of the older folks too. Sister Reverend Off Bay, you had something to say?
No, you had me cracking up. I mean, it's true. It could be anybody and everyone. You know, when I think about though, you know, when I've told my children, it's like, what I really want you to do, because social media can give this false impression of friendships.
Yes.
To
Yes.
me, as part of the issue, is I don't want you to center your relationship on social media, which I think is very common for the generation now, because you can have one interaction or two and your social media friends, you think you know them because you're looking at their feed and you see things about them, and then you think there's this relationship that's there, but you haven't picked up the phone. You didn't have a walk around the park with them. You didn't have any of that. You don't know their middle name. You don't know their favorite color. So I am concerned about making sure the social media doesn't replace genuine friendships and the relationship that you need to have with individuals, because that to me is where the true love comes from, not necessarily the social media. And so to me, that's just something I have to always keep in mind. Even, you know, I'm like, sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm not on. I go on for a few minutes, and sometimes I don't have a whole lot of time to scroll and see everybody's posts, whatever. I see whatever I could see, and then I keep it moving. Because the reality is, when I need to do something, I can call one of y'all and say, hey, I need to talk about something, or we need to do something. It's not going to be on social media anyway. So that's not the way I communicate. But it's important we keep the interaction with as humans.
Right.
So important.
I want to give honors to Sister Pierre Fordale. She had 2 children who did coloring books, and she advertised them, and you know, they able to pose and take their pictures. I utilize that for other children and my baby. Like, look, you know, they're young authors. They creating a book. They're doing things that's positive. So social media also is helping to create and get well known young entrepreneurs. So I encourage that more for the parents.
Right.
Yes.
So do we have another question? Because okay, you do? Go ahead.
Did you want to go ahead?
No, all is well.
Okay. What things do you reward your child or children with? Like, what do you reward them for? What things would you reward them for? And in what way do you reward them?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm gonna just start off by saying my children they're spoiled, unfortunately. They really are. They get gifts and things when they really should not. No, but really though, they're blessed. They're blessed. And first of all, they do really well in school. I mean, I for the most part could not be more proud of them when it comes to their schoolwork. Wow. Now, being home is a whole different story, because it's like when they belong to you and they're home with you, they treat you like you're the help in a sense. But you know, I love my children and high honor to them. You know, the best thing that aside from schoolwork and all that other stuff, and just naturally being very well-behaved children, they love Allah, the Prophet, and the temple. So, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And so they get, January 8th, it goes down. Birthdays, it goes down. It's so crazy because my husband, he's like, oh, you got a good report card? I'm gonna go get you this. And I mean, like, I'll go buy them, like, I'll just, buy them something simple that they want. He will, oh, you need an iPhone. They're 10. And my son was like 11 when he got his. And I'm like, they have iPhones? I didn't even know how to work an iPhone. Well, praise Allah. They kind of helped me. But he was just like, he's a dad that is so proud, and they can, I don't know, it's different between me and him. I don't know if y'all know, but it's like different for moms than it is dads, but they are rewarded often. I would just leave it at that.
I was thinking back to what a outside phone looked like at the age of 11, other than a payphone, and it came with a big old briefcase.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It did.
I'm gonna go next one. When my sister, my daughter actually just said, "Mom, did you know what a beeper is?" I was like, "Huh? A beeper?" She's like, "Yeah, we learned this in school. Do you know people used to have that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's how we communicate. I had a beeper on my hip."
That's right.
She's like, "Wait, so you couldn't talk?" I was like, "No." And number showed up. I had to break it down to her what a beeper was. But you're right, sis. What they know, what we have. But similar to you, we parent different in the world. My husband definitely is on the like, do they really need some? He's more conservative. I'm definitely more of, obviously birthday, Prophet's birthday, those are the two times where they usually get something. But I've also started to shift to, making it about they want something. And I'll say, okay, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to put in the work to do it? And that will be your reward, and it's not, it could be anything, like my son wanted something. I was like, well, your trimester's coming up in 2 weeks. Let's see what your grades look like. Let's see, first grade to sixth grade. I know you're doing a lot, but how much more can you do? So I'll reward that. And then most recently, I've been trying to focus on, probably because I'm just concerned about, when they get older, how they don't want to spend as much time with you. I've been finding opportunities to make one-on-one time, and we'll do mommy-daughter date or mommy-son date. And to me, that's a reward for them and it's a reward for me. And on that date, I'm like, well, what do you want? Where are we going to go? And I let them, pick out my son, let's go get ice cream. Sure. Because it's our one-on-one time.
Right.
And to me, the reward is, yes, it's the reward for the treat, but I really just want to go fast forward 10 years and they choose to want to have those times with me and not choose with their parents. And I had a very, high honor to my parents, my mother and I, we had a very, very, very close relationship. We were, when I was back in New York, we had a very close relationship. And I think a lot of it is because we did do things together, I'm not a big shopper. She loves shopping. She's like, come on, let's go. I'm going to go get whatever it is for the house. And I'd roll with her and we do our own little thing together. And I want to be able to, I didn't realize how special that was until I got older, talking to others and their relationships with their parents. As adults, we're not the same, And it wasn't that I didn't need my space, but I valued my time with her. And so I was like, wait a minute, I got to reverse engineer. How do I get that? Because I didn't really understand what that was. So I'm trying to build that in as a reward of just me and you. You can do whatever you want, but we just talk and we'll just talk about whatever and let them say whatever and be whatever. And it's just us,
Well, I like to say I agree with you all. The materialistic thing was like, here you go. When I get a new outfit, you get a new outfit. When I get my hair done, you get your hair done. It was that way with the girls and boys. As the sister said, sometimes awarding when you like, they didn't really earn this, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. But my main, way of rewarding them was giving them big hugs and telling them how much I love them. I'm very mushy. Yes, and they would go, here she come with a speech, and they're joking, but they look forward to my words of encouragement. But now, as a Moorish American Muslim, I have more to talk about. Like the Prophet said, I give you something to talk about, or shout about. And I really just hug them. Oh my God, I love what you did, and kiss, and like my grandfather and my grandmothers did with me. So just loving them up. I always show them, because I want you to know how to love others, how it feels to just get a hug. People don't say it often in the world, and I'm one to say it. I don't have to know you. I tell you I love you because I love me. Yeah. And that's what I reward them with, a lot of love. I really do. And also with the materialistic things. And sometimes they, like Sister T. Hopkins Bay said, very spoiled because of it. And you regret it sometimes, like, okay, you think I'm going in my pocket when you got a job now? No. With Tyria, I just let him know how much I love him. All my children, but especially my 10-year-old, because I'm 51 years old with a 10-year-old. I had him when I was 40. And so he gets a part of me that they may not have gotten because I'm more mature, I unfold it in the way where you calm down and you're more attentive to things in life. And so I appreciate just being in his presence because I learn from him, and he rewards me and let me know why you're doing a great job. And I need to hear that from my children sometime, so thank you for that question. It made me emotional.
Praise the Lord.
I remember when my daughter was young. Well, let me just say that for the most part, her father raised her. I was living a whole different life. That's a whole nother story too. But in my presence, she got everything I could think of in that moment to give her. It didn't have to be a special occasion. If I wanted her to have it, she got it. I remember when she was little and she used to see something on TV and she'd say, "Mommy, can you buy me that?" I'd be like, "Yes, baby." And it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks go by. If we see that thing in the store, she say, "Mommy, you remember you said don't buy this for me?" I was like, "Dang."
She won't let you forget.
Yeah. Right. So I get it for her. And you said the way you raise your older children is a little different from your youngest, and the way I am with Bug is a lot different than how I am with Bug's mom than I was with Bug's mama, right? My daughter was like my heartbeat, like outside of my body. I know people say that a lot, but that was like real live, right? But because I had her and her brother so very young, my mentality was different. The way I thought, the way I spoke, the way I responded, all that was different, So with Bug, especially having the teachings of the Prophet, I am more mild with her. I'm stern still, but I'm more mild with her. I am a real live Mima, like in every sense of the word, except I'm a young Mima. So I'm grateful, honest to the Prophet again for coming to save us from ourselves.
Real talk. That's
that we are able to give our children a guide that we couldn't even fathom. I know I couldn't fathom for myself a long time ago. So praise Allah.
Wow.
Praise Allah.
Sister Hopkins Bay, you have a question for us, right?
I do. The question is, how do you set your household in order?
I used to think, knock them out the box, knock them out, get my belt. Because that was the teachings that we learned, you get on punishment, you stand in the corner with one foot up, all that, no snacks, no playing in before dark, no going outside, no telephone, all that good stuff. But now, I personally say, listen, I asked him, do you really think you deserve this, or you deserve to do what you would like to do right now because of, the thing you just did? And they go, you know what, Ma? I want you to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
So that teaches them how to be, have good judgment when you don't behave in the proper manner. But more so just having a discussion, as I said before, I wasn't trustworthy of my baby being in closed rooms with other children and adults is all in another room. I'm always back and forth in the room. And my baby would go, Mom, calm down. You're so paranoid. I'm like, listen, that's how I was taught. But I communicate. I communicate a lot with them so that we can get an understanding of what you have done. I don't raise my voice as I used to. I think I shared on the show before when, I don't play with people's children. And I don't expect them to play with me. I was always serious. But I'm always was the aunt that everybody wanted to live with, but they knew Auntie Nett didn't play or Mommy don't play. I just let them know what's right and what's wrong. And I help them see themselves more so than raising my voice. You get better results when you communicate. Communication is key in helping to understand, comprehend the situation or experience. So I communicate.
The people who come in my home know that when I enter my home, I may have to just drop some stuff down and shoot down the hallway for a minute and then come back and pray. Everybody knows that if I start to doing something else, before I do that, they'll say, Ma, or whoever it is that's in here, that you forgot to pray. And I'd be like, ooh, thank you. Because I then went to the bathroom and then came out and started putting stuff up, not realizing that I didn't. But in the moment, I'll feel it. Because when they're not here and I do that and I happen to look up and I said, oh, I ain't give Allah the praise, for reaching back home safely. That's one of the things that is just automatic set in here. No shoes, the dishes, all that stuff has to be washed. We don't use foul language. We don't use the N word. Things of that nature. And I'm not to say, and let me just be real on here. That is not to say that Nikki does not speak a certain way at times. But in this house, especially with children in here, I don't speak a certain way. I don't speak a certain way in the public areas. It has to be like a private conversation for me to say certain stuff. And if it's not private, I know how to curve what it is I'm trying to get across as well. So those are ways that I have set my house in order. Cleanliness is a must. I shared with y'all before that my daughter told me that I needed help because I act like I'm Monk. For those of you who don't know who Monk is a character on television, a private detective who has OCD. I'm sorry. And I got it pretty bad. I got it pretty bad. But those are some of the things that, and look, it's just the way it is over here. It has to be a certain way for my peace of mind. My peace of mind is very important to me. It took me a minute to get here. Right. So, yeah.
Praise Allah. So I'll just briefly say, because I see we're running out of time, I'll just briefly say, by living according to the Prophet's holy and divine instructions, me and my husband, we set our house in order. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Yeah, I think I'm similar to you all about just physically and how the house is set up and what your intentions are. I would just say quickly add it on. We do have a board in our kitchen where we put every Sunday. I ask the children to pick a verse from the Quran and put it up there. To me, I want that constant reminder of our lessons. of how we're supposed to be. And so that's another thing that we do to keep ourselves focused and be responsible for how we show up in the energy in this house, because it's supposed to be a safe and loving environment. I know we got to go because we're at the end of the show. So I'm going to, any last thoughts before I go ahead and close this out, sisters? No?
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening for this uplifting session, Parenting Part 2, because we had so much to talk about with Parenting Number 1. If you like the show, please thumbs up, share a comment, tell a friend. I want to thank you all for the comments. We see those comments coming through. So thank you, thank you, thank you. As a reminder, we have a few shows here with the More Science Simple of America. Friday Holy Day meetings at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have our Sunday school meetings, 2 p.m. Eastern. We also have every other week, the same week as we go, on Mondays, November 1st, on The Manifest, which is a new show that Brother Aniel Bay has. And we also have on Wednesday, November 3rd, Universal Love with the Adams Bay. And then, of course, you have us. We'll be back on November 4th for another Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. And I just want to make a quick special announcement. Sister T. Hopkins Bay, Brother T. Hopkins Bay, for celebrating 14 years of building a legacy of love. So
Thank you.
The anniversary.
Love and say thank you. Thank you for showing it and exemplifying it. We love you. We love all of our viewers. And we say we leave you in peace. Peace.
Peace.